Hey guys! So the things you don't see on YouTube are the fact that I have filmed that "Hey guys" introduction 4 times because I couldn't quite get on board with the way I was saying guys. I think it's just because my lisp is maybe a little bit more protruding today. But anyway, let's get on with why you're here and why you're watching my video. So I want to chat to you about 5 really simple ways in which you can make your home and the space that you live in more mindful. And by that I mean just a safe place, a happy space, and somewhere where you genuinely want to come home. And it's obviously, yes, it's great if you live with someone that you love, but actually even without that, like, it's a space that you want to go back to and you feel like you can be you and you can be independent and you can thrive in that space. And these are just 5 really simple things that I do to make sure that I'm getting the most out of myself living in this house, but also getting the most out of my relationship in this house. So let's get moving on. Get moving on? That makes no sense. Does anything I say make sense? Probably not. So tip number 1, something that Rob and I have introduced very recently, is we have the bedroom as a no phone zone. We used to come into the bedroom and we'd go to bed, but then maybe someone would check an email or the phone would be down on the floor, and maybe we wouldn't look at our phones at night. We're quite kind of, strict on that kind of thing. But even waking up in the morning, the phone being your alarm, it's the first thing that you pick up. It changes things. So recently we have been putting our phones on charge in a different room overnight, and then I have an alarm on my watch, so that's my alarm for the morning, so I don't need to worry about waking up and all of that. I am actually due to get one of the lights that wakes you up, because I think it's a really, really healthy way of waking up with the natural light, so I am going to get one of those. And then in the morning, when my alarm actually goes off, rather than I have my phone in my hand and the first thing I think to do is check my emails and maybe do some work or check social media, actually the first thing that I'm now doing is sitting up and I'm meditating just for 5 or 10 minutes, and it's the first thing that I do. And that has really changed just it's not like it had this magical impact on me where I was like, oh, I've meditated, I feel like an angel and I can fly around my day. It was more about mindset. It was like, I just felt like I was awake and alert-ish. I had that quiet time. I tried to focus on the breath, but actually it doesn't matter so much if your meditation is just maybe thinking about what you need to do, as long as it's not, an anxious needing to do. A lot of people would say, okay, that's not meditation, which in many ways it's not. But just having that time away from a screen, just with your eyes closed, looking inwards, is so good. So good to have. So yeah, we have the bedroom as a no phone zone, and it's so far, I love it. Tip number 2 is about creating your own special or sacred place within your home. So it doesn't need to be a whole room. It can be if you want. There is no set rules on where that space needs to be. For me personally, I actually have a couple, depending on how I feel. So I have a little space in the dining room, which is where I do my yoga, which feels like it feels like my little bit of floor, like my zone. Many of you that follow me on social media will have seen the white wall, and that's genuinely where I do my yoga. And it feels like, I say, my space. And then I also have my little space in my office, in the spare room, and the spare room kind of feels like my own little zone. I can go in there, I can think, I can be with myself, and I have all the things around me that inspire me, motivate me, and things that I might need if I'm feeling a little down. Like I've got a radio and candles and books and notepads and just my things. And I think that's what's important. Is just having a little space that you kind of can sit in and feel like this is my safe zone and this is where I can come and think. So yeah, create your own special place and fill it with things that inspire you. I think that's an important thing to think about when finding that space. So tip 3, I kind of touched upon just then, but it's creating an atmosphere, and I don't mean this just in your little space, I mean this in the whole home. So for me personally, nothing makes me more happy than like walking into a room and it just being like really bright with natural light. So like right now I'm in my bedroom, which I love, and in the afternoon the sun is on this window, and it just that there's something that when I walk into the room, that atmosphere, that feeling really lifts me, and I love that. And you don't, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be with natural light. You can create this. Some people might prefer more of like a dim lighting, so maybe get some lamps rather than having a big main light. Have a kind of a small lamp that you can put on maybe in the evening. Another way that I create atmosphere is through candles. I love candles. This is the only one in my tips that you would kind of need to purchase. Everything else you can just do yourself. But yeah, if you're a fan of candles, I actually used to think of candles as being a bit of a waste of money and being like, oh, I don't really need that, didn't really understand it. People would buy me them for Christmas and then they'd sit there and never used, whereas now I get through them so quickly. And yeah, I love an amazing smelling candle. Places like the White Company, Neom, Origins, all of those, there's hundreds more, but so, yeah, do really amazing smelling candles. And sometimes like you can kind of familiarize yourself with certain ones, and it creates that really nice homely feeling when you walk into a room and you're like, oh yeah, that's this room. I probably sound mental right now. And then the other one is music. So for me, I go downstairs in the morning and I put on Smooth FM. I'm such a sucker for a golden oldie in terms of songs, and so in the mornings when Rob and I make our breakfast and we have a chat in the kitchen, that we have Smooth FM on in the background, and that really kind of like creates the kind of morning atmosphere for me. So they're just a few ways that I create my atmosphere in my home. Number 4 probably seems quite an obvious one, something my mother has been telling me from when I was a very young age, and it's going back to phones, but no phones at the dinner table. Even if you live alone, like eat, so not only, okay, let's go back and if you eat with a partner, or a family, then it's a bit more obvious. It's rude to have your phone out at the table, it's rude to be looking at a screen while you've got someone in front of you. So naturally, we should be communicating, we should be having a conversation. No matter how silly that conversation might be, it's important to talk to each other. And then if you're on your own, then I can understand why you might think, okay, well, I'm just gonna look at a screen, but why not, you know, just eat your food consciously? You might feel a bit lonely just staring into a plate, eating your food, or have like, you know, a newspaper or a magazine nearby where you can flick through, but you know, use that dinner time, get into a habit and use that dinner time as a way of stepping away from your screen. You know, by all means, take a picture of your pretty looking food beforehand, that's what I do, but then put it away and just have the dinner table again as like a special place whereby there's no phones, and it's all about communication, not only with your partner or your family, but maybe with yourself as well. Or make notes or journal. Just use that time at the dinner table for something other than being on your phone or your laptop. And then my final tip is to take note. So by my bed, I have a little notebook. I actually have notebooks everywhere. I have a lot of like journaling, like scattered around different notebooks, but you know, before I go to bed, sometimes I might want to make note of maybe things that have happened in the day, or I might actually want to make note and make a little list of what I need to do the next day. And I think that that's fine, as long as you're not sitting there, you know, thinking, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do tomorrow, I must write it down, otherwise I can't sleep. Although actually sometimes that can be helpful in a healthy way. I think that taking notes is a really great way of getting things out. Even if you live with someone and you like talking to them, there's always going to be things that you don't want to talk about, and creating the home as a place where if you come home from work and you can just write things down and then you can breathe, a little bit easier once those things are out of your system, then it does make the home in general feel like a bit of a safer, a lighter place, because it's where you can release and it's where you can feel the safest and you're most relaxed. So yeah, take note and enjoy taking note as well. It doesn't need to be like, oh my god, what do I write about? Just let it flow. Sometimes the first word is like the hardest. You're like, I don't really know where to go with this, and then suddenly you've written 2 pages and you're like, whoa, I needed to get that out. So yeah, that is how I have made my home more of a mindful space to live in. And you know, I'm by no means saying that I'm perfect. Definitely not. But just the things like, you know, the phones, the communication, the atmosphere, all of those things make your home somewhere you really want to be, and somewhere you love being, and somewhere that you can be when you're on your own. I think it's really important for us to have that time alone and to learn and to grow within ourselves, rather than constantly needing and feeding off other people. So hopefully you found this interesting, and there are things that you can take away into your own home, into your daily lives, and hopefully, you know, something that you can implement was in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon for another video. Bye bye.